Why are 13,000 miles of lipstick sold each year? What will each of us do more than 3,000 times in our lives? Why are 4,000 gallons of aftershave used every day? What burns 250,000 calories in our lifetime? And what will 240 million people be doing tonight? It all boils down to one thing. What is it? Having sex.
The instinct to have sex is one of the most potent we possess. It's vital if we're to produce the next generation. We've inherited this powerful urge to find a mate and have children from millions of generations of ancestors. What is it about the way we look? The way we smell, and what we possess that can attract the ideal mate, and what forces drive us to jealousy and revenge. Men and women share the same basic desire to have sex and produce children, but our bodies are very different, and that means we seek out very different qualities in our perfect partners. To reveal the differences between the way men and women view potential sexual partners, we've come to a university campus in London. In a secret filming experiment, we're equipping two actors, Charlie and Danny, with hidden cameras and concealed microphones.
You drop that down your top.
Down?
That's it.
Their mission, mingle amongst the unsuspecting students, then proposition them with a rather straightforward chat-up line.
I've noticed you around campus.
I think you're very good looking.
And would you sleep with me tonight? Let's see what they've got to say.
Now all they have to do is to approach complete strangers and see how many will say yes.
Hi, I've seen you around campus and I think you're very attractive.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you'd like to sleep with me tonight.
Are you kidding?
No.
Is this a joke?
It's not a joke.
You're crazy.
Well, no? Is that a no? I think you're really, really attractive. I was just wondering if you want to sleep with me tonight.
No, thank you very much. I don't think so. No, I will never. I'm really sorry. No? No thanks.
I've seen you on campus.
This experiment was first carried out at Florida State University.
No.
It was part of a study to find out if there really was a fundamental difference in men and women's attitude to casual sex.
Is there any chance at all?
Their results were clear-cut. Out of scores of women asked,
What are you mad?
No, I'm just asking you.
not one said yes to sex when asked by a stranger.
She said no. What's wrong with you?
So what was the story when it came to men?
I've noticed you around. I
find you very attractive.
Hi, I've noticed you around campus.
Yeah.
And I think you're really attractive.
Am I?
Would you sleep with me tonight?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Would you go to bed with me?
I've noticed you around campus.
All right.
And I think you're really attractive. Would you sleep with me tonight?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you sleep with me tonight?
Yeah.
In the Florida experiment, 3 out of 4 men said yes to sex with a woman they'd never met before.
Would you sleep with me tonight?
Absolutely. Well, I finished my exam, so it would be an ideal time.
No.
Why not?
Exam tomorrow.
Got an exam tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you didn't have an exam.
I would do, yes.
Okay.
What's particularly interesting is only half the men agreed to go out for coffee. Our results were very similar. Charlie got several yeses,
Yeah, maybe.
I've noticed
but not one woman agreed to sleep with Danny, despite his best efforts.
I was just wondering, would you like to come to bed with me, basically?
No. What, are you mad?
No?
So despite contraception and greater equality, men and women's behaviour is radically different when it comes to sex, and there's a simple biological reason why. In the human species, it all boils down to one basic and inescapable fact. It's the woman who carries the baby. In the time it takes for a mother to produce one child, a man can father hundreds of them. The world record by a Moroccan emperor is 888 children. This massive difference in producing a child starts here, in our bodies. This is an ovum. It's one of the largest cells in a woman's body, and during her entire lifetime, she may release only 400 of them. By contrast, the sperm is the smallest cell, and in a typical ejaculation, a man can release 300 million. The average pregnancy lasts 40 weeks, and in that time, a woman will burn up an extra 80,000 calories, the same as running 30 marathons. For a man, making a baby can take less time than boiling an egg, and it can take less energy. So, with such a huge difference in investment, it's easy to see why women are instinctively more selective than men when it comes to having sex. So what underlies sexual attraction? It's a fascinating mixture of factors, but science is beginning to tease out some of them. At the outset, it's physical appearance that counts. And yet again, men and women are looking for very different qualities. Women want the best for their baby, and that includes the best genes. So how do they spot them? It turns out that if us men want to be a real hit with the ladies, we have to pay close attention to geometry. Because science has revealed that a man's body shape is one good predictor of how healthy and attractive his children will be. So a pear shape isn't much of a turn-on, but show women the classic upside-down triangle shape, and the response is very different. The most important factors in making a man's body attractive are a narrow waist with a broad chest and shoulders. And that's no coincidence. These signal both physical strength and a good immune system. In a primitive world of early humans, that meant good genes, making a man with an inverted triangle shape like this a genetic catch. So when a woman sees a man's body, it seems her instincts are assessing his genes and ultimately what kind of baby he'll produce. Right from the outset of puberty, girls know what to look for in a man as their sexual instincts begin to emerge.
The ideal man has to be strong.
I'd like them to be slightly taller than me.
Good looking.
Yeah, really good looking.
Like Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Kind of strong.
Yeah, I like
Not long term. I don't want who'll protect me if I'm in danger.
Like Tom Cruise and stuff.
Yeah.
I want boys to have muscly six-packs.
Six-packs, yeah. That's nice.
And what about the boys? What do they find attractive? These 11 and 12-year-olds are just on the threshold of becoming men.
Girls seem more attractive if they have bigger ones.
Big bosom.
Well, bigger breasts.
Go on, say it. Big bosoms.
If they have small boobs, then it's like not that fun to be with them.
Bosoms. It's a funny word.
The ideal body shape is
for a woman? Just curvy. Curvy body.
not fat, but not skinny.
In and out. It goes
in and out, not straight.
out.
The female hourglass shape is attractive to men of all cultures. So why is it so powerful? It says one thing: I'm fertile. Young girls have small hips and no breasts. They basically go straight up and down. But with the onset of puberty, their hips start to widen and their breasts begin to develop. It's a signal that menstrual cycles have begun and that they could become pregnant. This change of shape may be subtle, but it's extremely potent. And that's a big difference between the sexes. Men aren't just primed to seek good genes. Their instincts are on the lookout for fertility as well. Appearances can be very powerful, but looks aren't everything.
Not many of us can fulfill the physical ideal. And yet, as a species, we're amazingly successful at finding the right partner for us as individuals. And the reason for this may be rather surprising. Beauty may not be so much in the eye of the beholder, but in the nose.
Both men and women want to make healthy babies, and that means babies with a robust immune system that fights off disease. Each of us passes the ability to fight some diseases to our children in our genes. And our instincts prime us to choose a mate with a very different immune system to our own. Why? Because that way our children get the best chance of fighting illness. When it comes to these genes, opposites attract. I'm putting these instincts to the test at Newcastle University. I'm going to sniff T-shirts worn by these women. All of us have had our blood tested for 6 genes that reveal what type of immune system we have. If all 6 of my genes match all 6 of a woman's, that's bad. I should find her smell unappealing because our children are likely to be less healthy. But if only 1 or 2 genes match, that's good. I should find the smell attractive because it would mean our children would be naturally more healthy. Each woman has slept in a T-shirt over 2 nights, so it should be really smelly. The T-shirts have been put in a sealed bag and kept in a freezer. Then they're placed in a jar, and scientist Craig Roberts makes me get sniffing.
What we'll do now is give you the T-shirts that the 6 women have been wearing.
I find it very difficult to believe this is going to work, but I'll try it.
Okay.
Come on.
We'll give it a go.
And I've got to sniff this.
If you can bear it.
Okay. Well, it's not quite as bad as I expected. No, I don't like that one quite so much, so I'll move that there in ranking, all right? I mean, some of them are definitely smellier than others. Yeah, it's not bad.
I've lined them up. The most attractive smells are on the left. But are they the most genetically different, showing the lowest scores out of 6?
It's 0 out of 6.
Fabulous. Well, your nose has performed.
And then this one. That is, look, 0 out of 6. That's
Very
amazing.
Good. It's really good.
I'm actually beginning to believe this now. 1 out of 6.
1 out of 6.
So now we're presumably counting the ones that I least preferred.
Yes.
And so they should actually have a higher number.
They should have a high number.
Good Lord. This is the last one, and that's 4 out of 6. Congratulations. I'm really very impressed.
So it appears our instincts have evolved to pick up invisible signals to find the most compatible partner. There are many reasons why we find someone attractive. And when we do, our bodies react in the same way. Men, at least, are always primed for a potential mate, even if they don't know it. That's because testosterone is continually released into their bloodstream. The sight of a potential partner is enough to start the pupils dilating. And if the gaze is returned, it can trigger a cascade of physical changes. Men and women's brains release a massive rush of dopamine. It's a feel-good chemical. We also release pheromones in our sweat that can enhance our attractiveness to the opposite sex. Adrenaline courses through our bodies, diverting blood from the stomach, giving us butterflies and a feeling of intense excitement. And finally, blood rushes to our lips and sexual organs. So in a matter of moments, instinct prepares us for sex. But attractiveness isn't just about smell or looks. For men, being successful can also make a difference. In the animal kingdom, a male with resources is often a very attractive male. Take penguins, for example. For some species of penguin, rocks are a form of hard currency. That's because rocks are crucial to the survival of young chicks. The taller the layer of rocks used to build the nest, the more protection there is against the chill of the ice, and the more chance the eggs have of hatching into healthy young penguins. Females aren't only after the best genes, they're also seeking a male with the resources to protect their chicks. So if I were a penguin and this was my pile of rocks, I'd be virtually irresistible. Meet some women who are straightforward about finding a man with resources.
Hey, cheers.
At this Californian restaurant, 50 women are about to have lunch with 10 men. This isn't any ordinary lunch, because this is a club for millionaires, where beautiful women get to meet rich men. It's the brainchild of owner and founder Patty Stanger.
Women, you are never allowed to ask a man how much money he has. Okay? I dated a lot of millionaires who basically needed a lot of help in finding the right woman. But I saw that men with money, they worked really, really hard in their business. But they basically did not work hard in their social life. And they kind of had like a little ineptness when it came to going out and getting the woman, yet they could go out and get the deal, so to speak.
Millionaires from all over the country spend up to $20,000 to become a member. Women's membership is free.
I look for women that keep themselves in shape, take pride in their appearance, do their hair, do their makeup, but on top of it have a career. We look for like the model looks with the Harvard education. I do modeling.
Doing modeling.
And I've been an executive for 15 years. I also am a model.
Got a couple questions.
I would choose money over looks in a heartbeat, definitely.
The last date I had that I chose for myself was a gorgeous guy, blonde, gorgeous. He stole the keys to my car.
I collect cars. This is my Cobra. This is...
Today, each millionaire will spend 5 minutes with each woman.
If a very handsome, good-looking man comes up to you and says, "Can I borrow $10?" And the plain man, who has a lot of money, he's kind of a runt, ugly, and he says, "Would you like to fly to San Francisco for dinner tonight with me on my jet?" The good-looking man starts to look kind of ugly, and the toad of the dude, he starts to look like a real prince.
This is me with some friends at Con. This is what I do. This is my job. So I make movies.
Switch tables. Don't forget to write your comments down and go to the next table.
Money is an important factor when it comes to having children and raising children.
And that's it. That's me.
That's you.
That's me. I mean, in 2 minutes.
Right.
Okay, guys, switch. Find another table.
It's taken 4 hours and 450 speed dates. But has anybody met a potential partner?
I've certainly met a number of women I'm attracted to.
You know, I've met about 4 or 5 that I thought were really sweet people.
I am going to call up and ask for dates for some of these girls, absolutely.
I found that one particular fabulous millionaire.
And I could see myself, you know, dating and getting to know better.
I don't know if he's mine, because he is very popular.
If males have anything at all to show off about, then throughout the animal kingdom, they find a way of letting the opposite sex know, sometimes with extravagant displays. And there's a theory that the human male uses status symbols like a peacock uses his tail. Signs of wealth seem to increase the attractiveness of the male. To find out if this is really true, I volunteered myself as a guinea pig.
I want to see if my attractiveness to women is increased or decreased with these trappings.
And what more perfect place than Los Angeles to put the theory to the test? First in rags, and then in riches. It's not as scientific as the experiments I do in my laboratory, perhaps, but much more fun. We've invited 4 single women to be the judges. They've been asked to rate my sex appeal on a scale of 1 to 10. First, it's Robert in rags.
Morning, ladies.
Oh, that poor guy. Oh, look at those clothes. Perhaps he lives in his car. Or maybe he's just the dishwasher.
So how did I do?
He is human.
He looks kind of unkempt. He looks unclean.
It's not marriage material.
And he doesn't look like someone I'd want to bring home.
Not even date material.
He's not sexy.
He's got a nice smile.
Not such a great hit looking like this then. But let's see what a couple of hours in Beverly Hills might do. Tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
I've had the full LA makeover. I've got the Cartier watch, a pair of diamond-encrusted Harry Winston cufflinks, I'm dressed head to foot in Versace, and I'm driving one of the most luxurious cars on the market. So back to my 4 judges. Have they seen any improvement?
Who's that? Cool-looking guy. I am speechless. Looks like a studio head.
And my scores?
10 if he's single, 9.5 if he's not. He looks successful, he walked in proud, and she's just glowing. And the car.
Well, my transformation from rags to riches appears to have transformed my sex appeal.
So perhaps status symbols work after all.
Finding that one perfect partner is not the end of the story as far as our instincts are concerned. Because infidelity plays its part. We've seen that compared to men, women appear to be less open to casual sex. So what can drive a woman to be unfaithful? Yet again, the answer begins with biology.
There's another difference between the biology of men and women, which pushes our instincts in totally different directions. Most men are fertile all day and every day, and everyone knows it. But women are a little bit more complicated. I'm with all these women, but for all the money in the world, I couldn't tell you which one was ovulating.
When it comes to ovulation, we humans are extremely rare in the animal world. Most other female mammals announce their fertile days with a fanfare. Some primates even advertise ovulation with red, swollen bottoms. But human females keep ovulation well under wraps. For men, that means they're likely to stick around because they don't want to miss their chance to conceive with their partner on those few fertile days. But for women, concealed ovulation means something different. The opportunity to have sex and even get pregnant with another man. But women don't just have the opportunity, they may also have the motive. Because at an instinctive level, women appear to know when they are ready to conceive. And on their fertile days, they may even get the urge to go shopping. Gene shopping. Here at Stirling University in Scotland, they're doing an experiment to find out the types of men women find attractive at different times in their menstrual cycles. The women are presented with male faces on their computer screens. They can alter them to make them more thickly set and masculine, or soften them. The scientists call this feminizing the faces.
More feminine when you move the mouse across here, and more masculine towards the side.
The women were divided into two groups, those who were ovulating and those who weren't. The women who weren't ovulating preferred the feminized faces.
Over here, I think he's a bit too masculine. More over here, I like him better, more feminized. The eyes seem bigger as well.
With this guy, I find him more attractive when his face is slimmer and he looks more feminine and not as butch looking.
But when the researchers tested the women who were at the fertile point in their cycle, they found something surprising.
I prefer him over here with more masculine features, but over here with feminine features he's not that attractive.
These women overwhelmingly preferred the more classic masculine face.
I find the face becomes more attractive as his features become more dominant and more masculine.
I think probably about there. More masculine is nicer.
And the researchers think they know why. Those more masculine faces, with thicker necks, broader chins and jaws and lower brows, are typically indicators of strength and health. Desirable genetic qualities a woman is likely to want in her baby. Yet again, a woman's instinct pushes her towards finding the best genes for her offspring. And this can act as a temptation to be unfaithful. In fact, a British survey suggests that women who cheat are most likely to do so during the 4 days surrounding their ovulation. And that for a man can be devastating.
I can speak for all men. There's not a man out there that knows, unless he's had a DNA, that he's 100% sure that that child is his.
A quiet street in the sleepy town of Big Spring, Texas. This is home to Morgan Wise, a 38-year-old train driver. 4 years ago, all the certainties he had about his family life were shattered. Morgan had been married for 13 years and had 4 children. His youngest was extremely ill and was diagnosed as having cystic fibrosis, a genetic disease that's passed on only when both parents have the CF gene.
Knowing that I carried this gene, did know I had it, and passed it on to my, my son, and then, watching him, what he had to go through, it was, oh yeah, it tore you up inside.
3 years later, the marriage ended. Morgan gained custody of his 4 children and continued to care for his youngest son. To confirm he was a carrier, Morgan was tested for the CF gene. A few weeks later, the doctor called him in for the results.
He said, I got the test results back, but you need to come in. And I said, what was it? He said, I can't tell you over the phone, you need to come in. And so I went in, and he told me, he said, that you're not a carrier of cystic fibrosis.
To find out that he was not a carrier of the CF gene seemed like good news. But for Morgan, there were huge implications. There was no doubt that his little boy suffered from cystic fibrosis, which meant that both of his parents must have been carriers. The doctor had bad news for Morgan.
He just came right out and he said, Morgan, let me ask you something. Would there be any reason for you to believe that this boy is not yours? And I was sitting just like this, and it felt like that I just fell right out on my face. And I looked up at him, and I mean, I said, what are you talking about? What are you getting at? He said, Morgan, there's something going on here. And he said I needed to have a DNA test done.
Only a final DNA comparison between Morgan and all of his children would reveal if he were truly the father of any of them. The tests were done. Then it was only a matter of waiting for the results.
I can remember the day that they came, it was a thick envelope. Beverly, my new wife, she had to end up opening it because I was afraid to look. She went in our bedroom, opened up the envelope, and then I could hear her crying. And then she looked up at me and said that none of the boys are yours.
Although his ex-wife disputed the results, the DNA tests proved that Morgan was not the father of his 3 boys, but was only the father of his daughter. For Morgan, as for any man in this situation, his distress was profound.
My 3 sons are not even mine. It was like I couldn't hear anything, just dead silence. And then this horrible anxiety, I mean, just deep crushing in my chest, and I just, I began to cry. I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Morgan's situation is not so uncommon. Studies around the world indicate that on average, as many as 1 in 10 children are being raised by men who are unaware that they are not the child's biological father. In evolutionary terms, it's a disaster for one male to bring up the offspring of another male, because his valuable resources are wasted nurturing genes that are not his own. But human male bodies have evolved to counter female infidelity.
And that's the reason for something rather surprising. Believe it or not, my testicles are bigger than his. But they're smaller than theirs. It's all about being faithful. A gorilla has a harem of females that are his only, so he doesn't need to have a whole lot of sperm at the ready. These chimps, on the other hand, aren't that lucky. Female chimps aren't faithful at all, so the males ejaculate as much as possible into as many females as possible to give their sperm the best chance of creating a baby. And that's why they have huge testicles. In the case of humans, females aren't very promiscuous, but they aren't entirely faithful either, which is why human males like me have testicles that are somewhere in between a gorilla's and a chimpanzee's.
But it's not just men's anatomy that has evolved to combat female infidelity. Men possess a powerful instinct for sexual jealousy. On the east coast of Scotland, Mark Pickles had always sought the quiet life.
The ideal day for me is going out on the river, fishing rod, set myself up and spend the whole day fishing.
Until recently, Mark had enjoyed a happy 6-year relationship with his girlfriend, but one simple text message on a mobile phone would change Mark's quiet life forever.
My partner was my pride and joy. I loved her very much. I'm going to get emotional now. And
what began as a peaceful evening at home together would end in a scene of utter destruction when Mark's jealousy was triggered.
Well, it was a normal weekday, late in the evening. My girlfriend is sleeping by the fire, and the mobile phone went with a text message. 15 minutes later, it went again. Somebody's obviously quite keen to talk to my girlfriend, but she's sleeping, so I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll go and make some tea and access the messages quite innocently. And was met with a very intimate, sexually suggestive, provocative messages on the phone from the next door neighbour. When I read those text messages, my instincts were to cause hurt, to get even. And you screw around with my pride and joy, I'm going to deal with your pride and joy.
Mark's girlfriend and the neighbour have always denied they were anything other than friends. Mark didn't wait to check the facts. His jealousy was aroused. He knew that his neighbour was away on business, but he also knew what was locked away in his neighbour's garage.
A limited edition, cream leather interior, XGS 4.2 litre Jag, polished, shining bright, never had an ounce of dirt on it whatsoever. Because he didn't drive this thing, he only polished it. And that was the target. And then the red mist came down. So I got the chainsaw, got that going. Chainsawed through the garage door. And demolished the car completely. The sides, the panels, the windows. I loved her, and he was he got into my space. That's where I got angry, and I exploded.
Male sexual jealousy is an instinct that's felt in every culture in the world. One European study of homicide reported that sexual jealousy was the motive in nearly a third of all the murders they assessed. We've been on a turbulent journey through the extraordinary world of sexual instinct. And although we're getting closer to comprehending the relentless logic of sexual attraction, we're still a long way from understanding the science of love.
The secrets of being together so long is because we get along good and just love each other. That's all.
That was nice.
Well,
That was nice. I like that.
Learn to cook. learn to cook in like meat pies and things like that. Yeah, it makes you happy, that does.
We don't like anything alike, do we? I mean, he likes country, I like classical.
Every night when we go to bed, I have to give her a kiss goodnight. And if I happen to forget it, she'll remind me about it.
Kiss one no good night, always have done.
We just have a little cuddle up.
Yeah.
Love you.